ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Two Average Brown Bros podcast. I'm your host, Prashank.
And I'm your host, Andres.
Today is May 24th, 2021. Andres, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Over here in Canada, we have our long weekend because of Victoria Day. So, trying to make the most out of it. How about you, Rishang? How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Like I mentioned last episode, and we were talking about it, vaccines and stuff. I finally got my COVID vaccine.
And how
Um,
did that go?
it went pretty well. So initially, I had signed up to drive to Weyburn because there was no spots in Regina.
Hmm.
But then I signed up online through Save on Foods and I got an email, a notification to go on Saturday. So there's a Save On by my house. I went there on Saturday afternoon, was in and out within 15, 20 minutes. And I didn't really feel the side effects too much. My arm was sore for a couple of days. But other than that, it went really well and I'm happy with it. So just waiting for that second dose now.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so I think, we're getting. I think I just checked today. We're officially past the U.S. in number of doses for the first one,
Hmm.
percent-wise, of course, and then of course second dose. That's a whole nother story. But I think Canada's plan has always been administer as much first doses as we can, and then move on to the second one.
I think that's the main goal is like to have as much people protected, like with the first dose, and then we'll figure out, and especially as there hasn't been a delay or that much of a delay in getting doses from the different pharmaceuticals, then I
Mhm.
think that's what's really helping is now that we have a steady influx of the doses. So it makes it a lot easier to distribute and rather than holding off for a couple of weeks because no doses are being delivered.
Exactly. So I think I think honestly, I know we're hoping to get by July, August. I think we'll get it by the end of June. Second one. So
Oh, I hope so.
yeah, I think people they're optimistic when everyone started getting their first dose, and now this optimism has sort of faded, because the second dose we're still not sure, and like especially in Eastern Canada where doses like are being scheduled for like August, September, where people are getting tired now, and especially after getting the first shot, of course it doesn't reduce 100%, but it's quite effective, and we don't want to get into that conversation because that was last week, but like the first shot helps quite a lot, right? So I think people are done with lockdown. So as soon as we, safely can mingle and be social again, the happier we'll be.
Exactly. So let's go for a little bit of a more flex summer.
So that's a perfect segue to this week's episode. Summer, summer is almost upon us. I know here in Saskatchewan, it never feels like summer is here because even looking out the window at the time of the recording, it's like raining, freezing rain. Pretty cold. It was really nice the last couple of days, but then today it got super cold again. So who knows if true summer will be here? But that's the topic for today.
I really hope that it gets better. Like I was telling you, we have our long weekend, and then Mother Nature was like, ha, jokes on ya, and then decided to give us the worst weekend when it comes to like having enjoying the 20s. One day was, I'm pretty sure, like 30 degrees, and now like going back to like temperatures below 10 degrees. I'm just like, I hate this. I don't want to take out my winter clothing again, but we deal with what we have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess summer, is it one of your favorite seasons? Do you not like summer? Like, what do you think about summer, Andres?
Oh, what do I think about summer? I really enjoy summer. You can, what I like is like you can really spend time outside, in the like outdoors, going hiking, by like going to the beach. We'll talk a little bit more about what I consider a beach and what is not a beach. But I really enjoy the summer just because of like how social it can get and the opportunities in terms of like traveling and all of that. But I wouldn't say it's my favorite season, but I do truly enjoy summer. How about you, Brishan? What do you think about summer?
Yeah, exactly. So I think for me, summer is definitely one of my favorite seasons because I'm an outdoors person, especially in the nice warm weather. You can do so much. I know a lot of people like, fall or spring because summer is too hot. But honestly, for me, as bad as it sounds, I just love the heat because you just feel more free. I know some people feel more suffocated in the heat, but like in the winter, especially in these frigid, cold prairie winters where you have to bundle up in layers after layers, it feels suffocating. It's a different kind of suffocating than the heat. But in
Mm-hmm.
the summer, you just wear shorts and like a nice shirt and just walk around and go to a nice restaurant with patios. Enjoy a nice cool drink, or like you said, go to the beach. There's so much to do, and like traveling in summer is always so nice because there's so many people and there's just more things happening in the summer, especially where we live, right?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, part of me, like, kind of like, why when it comes to people like either liking winter or liking summer and like the big debacle around it. Um, I'm more of a cold person when it comes to weather-wise, I would say, which is very controversial, knowing that I am from the tropics. So I, in a certain way, grew up with heat all the time, in a certain way, but I also live in the mountains, so very different. But the thing is, like with heat, I do enjoy everything that you're able to do outside. But for me, the fact that there, because of the concept of decency and public, there's just so many clothes you can take off before like it is indecent to do it in public. So that's the thing with summer. Like there are days, like it gets super hot, like 30, 35 degrees, and you cannot stand like literally a t-shirt because you just like are sweating the entire time. And then you know you just want to feel fresh, but sometimes you cannot do that in public. And that's my big issue with summer. Whereas in winter, if it's really cold, I'll just bundle up or cozy up in a blanket, and then we're good.
So I guess that brings me to my first question. Like, do you enjoy the summers here more or back in Mexico?
I enjoy the summers. It's a difficult question. I enjoy them both because both of them offer different things. But in terms of every, like, looking at overall the entire country, I would say I would enjoy more of the summers back in Mexico because one, when it comes to that traveling, you can still do those little short road trips to the different little towns around Mexico City, and then you really get to experience them in like a nice way. There's festivals, like food festivals and other type of cultural activities going around, so it's very like culturally rich in that way. Then also you have an actual beach to go to, which for me, when I say like let's go to the beach, I mean let's actually go by the ocean and like have a little bit of that time there and really enjoy the summer by the ocean and just playing in the sand, having amazing fresh seafood, and depending where in the country you go, it's the experience that you get. So if you go to Los Cabos, that's a different experience than if you were to go to Cancun, or if you were to go to Acapulco or Veracruz. So the beaches that we have back at home, they're very different. And so I would say I enjoy more that, because also within like the city centers and the big metropolitan areas, there's always things to do. So I do enjoy summers a lot back home, but I also like summers here just because the amount of nature that is accessible. It can be more like going, like you go up north in Saskatchewan and you are in the forest, whereas like if you drive down south, uh, then you have like the Quappel Valley and Cypress Hills and all of that, which is lovely.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I think for me personally, I've been to Nepal twice in the summer, and I mean, I used to live there, but like I was super young, so I didn't do too much. But the summers I've been to, in Nepal have been pretty fun. You always meet so many people, and like your relatives, everyone invites you to do something, to go to their house, to hang out. And I know you have more friends back in Mexico, but for me, I don't really have friends in Nepal because I moved at such an early age, so I never got to experience the typical, Nepali summer where you go out with your friends and do stuff. But I think for me, definitely the prairies. I love the prairies in the sense that summer is actually really nice. Like I know sometimes it gets to like high 30, 35 degrees Celsius, which, for the American listeners, it's around 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh God, we have to move to Fahrenheit.
For me, 35 is pretty nice. Anywhere between 20 to 35 is really nice. So I enjoy just being outside in the Saskatchewan winter or summers, not winters, excuse me. As you know, we prairie boys, we love going to Banff when we go there as often as we can.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people go to Banff and Jasper to like ski and snowboard, but for me, just being at the lakes, whether it's Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, or going to a falls, in Jasper National Park or Banff National Park, like the coolness of the water and the breeze, it's just unbeatable, and that's probably one of my favorite things to do in the summers here. And like we've talked about this before, but traveling is definitely up there on the list. Whether it's traveling to another place in the summer or go on road trips, like I think it just makes it more enjoyable. Where in the winter you have to pack all these clothes and worry about if you're going to be stuck somewhere because of the snow or if your car breaks down. I mean, don't get me wrong, your car can break down in the summer too, but at least there's no snow to actually prevent it from going anywhere.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the one thing when it comes to packing. When I usually go home for the holiday period. When it comes to packing, I just like usually it's two suitcases because I mean, Mexico City, like, even though people might not know, it does get cold to like Mexican standards. So we do get like temperatures below 10 and sometimes close to zero just because we're way high up in the mountains. So I always have to pack up a lot. Or when I go to Calgary or Banff in the winter to go skiing, like, like packing ski pants and packing your ski jacket and all your thermal wear and your winter boots. So it does get pretty like it's a lot of packing. I need this big packing. But yeah, I agree. The summer is just super light packing, and that's the thing you can do with shorts and a t-shirt, and you're good to go for that. And the highways are like not saying that the highways are bad during the winter, but it's a lot easier to drive the highway during the summer than it is during the winter for sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, everyone has their favorites, but for me, summer is definitely where you can do more. For me personally, because I know even like someone, especially from like Canada or even US, they'll come back to me and be like, "Hey, there's so much to do in the winter. You can go to all this and all that." But for me, I just have more fun in the summer.
Yeah, well, also it helps that sunset is around usually what 9:30 to 10ish at night. So you get a lot more out of the sunlight, which when you're a very active person or you're like an outdoorsy person, there's a difference starting a hike at 6 in the morning during the summer, which is doable because the sun is already out by then during the winter that the hikes, like if you want to hike during the winter, you have to do it like your window is a lot narrower because you want to do it with sunlight and you don't want to get lost in like the forest in the middle, like we're all covered in snow. Whereas in the summer, like you literally can be hiking for a longer period of time because you have the sun there.
So, Andres, I know we're still under COVID restrictions and vaccine uncertainty, but what do you want to achieve this summer?
What do I want to achieve this summer? So depending on where we are with vaccinations and all of that, it's kind of like will give me a little bit more of a sense of like if I want to travel or not. I know I want to visit a little bit more of Saskatchewan, so maybe going down to Regina and doing like a day trip down there. Never been to Moose Jaw, so might as well give it a shot and drive down. I just do like go visit. Uh, it's been a while since I've been to Prince Albert National Park. So maybe, like it's also not a bad drive up north. So going up, spending some time in the forest of like over there. It's very nice. I really love going to Waskesiu Lake. And another big thing in Saskatchewan, lake season. So might be looking into maybe a weekend or something, spending it by the lake. Pretty sure Sherlock would like it. I'll have to get him in his on his tick medication, just so that I don't have to worry of him bringing ticks over. Although, like if we go up north, the risk is lower because ticks are usually not that bad up north, but they can still be there. So, um, so doing that, and then other big thing for this summer, as you know, Rishang, like we've been talking about it, but for me, I am moving out to the east. So part of the summer for me is getting ready. So getting rid of stuff, donating stuff, packing, and figuring out all the logistics that entail to moving out to the east, and moving to my childhood city of Montreal, which I am very, very excited for. How about you,
Yeah.
Brishang?
Well, first of all, congrats. I know you've told me, but from everyone listening, huge congratulations, Andreas.
Thank you.
Are you excited for it?
I am I am super pumped about it. Of course, I'm nervous and anxious and all of those feelings of like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? But I'm pretty excited. We can talk about it in another episode, kind of like how I got to there. But it's always been a dream of mine to go back and live in Montreal. I have a special place in my heart and in my memories from the city. But I am mainly excited because I am doing something that I truly love, something that I'm passionate for, and just to keep on growing on my career. And I think it's the next step. I'm just very excited to get back into that city life. Not saying that Saskatoon is not a city, but growing up in Mexico City, I've always been a big city boy. So I'm excited to go back into the big city life and how that goes, and practicing a little bit more of my French because haven't done that in a while. But I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, I think you've lived here what now, 8 years, so it's going to be a whole new world for you out there.
No, it's just let's see if I still have the energy and endurance for the big city life, which probably I will. Not gonna lie about that.
I think, yeah, like, as much as we like comfort and the same thing, consistency, I think moving is going to be a whole, like even me, like right now, I've said it before, but I'm supposed to be moving out to Ottawa pretty soon, probably around the same time as you, because that's probably when we'll be back in the office.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's something new, we all have to go through different changes in our lives, and I think it would be really cool, just to be out there and explore new things and see new things and meet new people. So, that's always been the motto, and try new things, meet new people, and learn new things. So let's do that, right?
Exactly. So yeah, it's very cool and a different environment. But once again, once you move over to the East Coast, Prishant, then we'll be Eastern people now. So we're moving from the prairies down to the east. So that will be also pretty cool because like we mentioned it, we're like like over here we're what, like 2.5 hours apart, and back now out east will still be 2.5 hours apart or less. So just the irony and the destiny of things. But how about you, Brishang? What are your plans for the summer?
You nailed it on the head when you said, there's still so much uncertainty, but I'm hopeful. We get the second doses of the COVID vaccine, and it's not going to be completely normal right away, and we can't expect it to, because there's still so much to go through. But I think definitely in the next little while we'll be getting our second doses, and then hopefully the border opens so I can go to the US and finally visit my girlfriend. And honestly, I've been planning so many trips. Like that's what I do. Like I like to do in my free time. I just love planning different trips, whether it's road trips in the US or abroad. I think that's one thing I'm really looking forward to. I really hope that the border opens. Like, I know that's still a controversial topic right now amongst Canadians, but I really want the border to be open, and I can go there, go on road trips. But I guess we'll have to see, right? Because like we said, there's just so much uncertainty. But that's the number one thing I'm gonna do once that goes back to normal, I guess. But even then, if things aren't completely back to normal, I'm just looking forward to going to the park, having a picnic or going to a restaurant, because I know restaurants will be open pretty soon. That for sure. Just going, like I said earlier, going to a restaurant, eating at patios, and just enjoying the nice heat.
Hey, you know what? That is actually like that is honestly sometimes what summer is. Just like patio season. Like there's something I love about the summer. It is that it is patio season, so it's time for drinking and having some beer, having a cider, having a nice wine outdoors while you enjoy a good meal with good company. And as we're progressing into like this new reopening plan that we have in the province, I think a little bit of the summer will actually allow us to do some of that.
Oh, okay, yep, exactly. So, I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Even then, if it's not completely open, like travel within Saskatchewan will be open, and we can still, go to different places around Saskatchewan, or even like Bath and stuff. Like I know they say not to travel, but I think with the vaccines, coming out and people getting vaccinated, and I think it's pretty nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And now you're finally, Regina is finally open, so people can actually leave the city, Bershang. So I'm very happy for you.
Exactly. I can come to Saskatoon, you can come here, so I think it should be a better summer than before. Granted, last year it wasn't too bad because COVID was a little bit better. It got worse in the fall.
Yes, I would agree with that. Like last summer, even though like yeah, we still had our restrictions and everything, we still were able to do things. So I think that's kind of like what everyone's hope is if we have to be at a minimum, we hope that the minimum is is what we had at least last summer.
So I know we've talked about all the positive things. What's one thing you don't like about the summer?
I think I mentioned it a little bit already, but it's like, sweating, the amount of heat that there is at times. What but nice thing is like kind of like why I like the Canadian summer. I love Mexican summer, but when Mexico summer in Mexico City, because it's just such a big metropolitan area, right? It is just like the heat there is exhausting. Like because it's 25 to 30 degrees, but then you also get the heat from the cars and trucks and buses, and then a little bit of the pollution. So then it's pretty like it's just exhausting. It's like that heat that just like just knocks you. So it can tend to be bad depending which part of the city you are. Whereas here, it's a little more of open space. So with the heat, what I don't enjoy how hot it gets at certain days, but I appreciate that because we're still way up north. Then we get some nice chilly wind to counterbalance the heat. But I do not like sweating, even though like it's just like you're trying to look nice, because that's another thing for me in the summer is I like to look nice. I like to prepare my outfits and be like, ooh, Andres, you're wearing what? And things like that. But then when you're sweating, there's certain colors that you cannot wear or certain textiles because then your sweat shows off. And I don't like that look. So I just don't that part of the summer. And then even though I love traveling and summer is a great season to travel, it also the negative on that is everyone is on that mindset. So then places just get, at least before, places got really busy with tourists. I'm one of those people. I am that tourist that travels during the summer, but it just gets so busy at times that it's just like I just want a little bit of peace wherever I'm going. And sometimes there's just so many tourists, and then with that, it's just people sometimes not following following rules. People, when there's like different types of travelers, and there's just travelers that I just don't want to encounter on my trips, and they really set up things. But I would say those are like some of the negatives from my end. What about you, Brishang? What you don't like about the summer months?
For me, two of the things I hate the most are definitely ticks and mosquitoes.
Oh
I mean,
God,
ticks.
yes.
they don't last the whole summer. They're usually early in the spring, a little bit into early summer, but they're so annoying. And if you get them, you're always paranoid. You're like, should I go to the doctor or not? For the most part in Saskatchewan, we don't have the Lyme disease carrying one, but I think they're slowly making their way up here. So you gotta be careful of that. And then once, tick season's done, the mosquitoes come out and just annoy you nonstop.
Oh, I hate mosquitoes so much. Like, why? It is one of those bugs and insects that I don't understand why. Like I might hate spiders and I just don't like spiders, but I understand why they're good for the ecosystem. But when it comes to mosquitoes and ticks and all of that, I don't understand why we need them. And you know what? It's just like when they bite, sometimes they're so itchy and then they just ruin your entire day.
Exactly. And, like the funniest story I've had with mosquitoes is when I went to Nepal in 2017. We went to this like rural city. And, in Nepal, I'm sure lots of other places have mosquito nets around the beds.
Mm-hmm.
So the place I was staying at, they had a mosquito net, but we're like, I think it's gonna be fine. It's only for one night, so we didn't use it. And then because it's like me and my brother and my dad all in the same room because we were traveling together, and at the middle of the night, I like around 1 or 2, I wake up with just like it felt like there was so many different bites on my body. Like I could just feel me getting bit. I wasn't
Yeah.
too sure what it was, so then I just brushed it aside, and then 10 minutes later, my brother wakes me up saying he feels like he's getting bitten too. So then we wake up, we turn on the lights, and there's thousands of mosquitoes, and it's not like the big ones that you have here. It's like still small ones where they just poke, 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 poke so annoyingly all the way.
Man,
And
I
it was
hate it.
nonstop. Like we spent like an hour just trying to kill all these mosquitoes, and it was one of the stupidest things I've ever done.
Honestly, like that's one of the downsides of like the heat. It's just the mosquitoes, and I just don't like them. But no, I completely agree with you.
And then another thing, I don't know if you've seen them, but horseflies, those things are also really annoying.
Is one of those things that I'm just like, how do you even exist? First of all, and they're huge, man. Like they're so big. I'm just like, someone definitely mutated, and this is how we got a horsefly.
Oh yeah, and like their bites hurt too. Like it actually hurts so much.
I'm lucky that I haven't gotten bit by a horsefly, and I hope to Jesus that I never get bit by a horsefly. But that's what I've heard, and that's something I don't wish upon anyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, wasps and these murder hornets are much worse, but
Oh yes.
I guess we're lucky in Saskatchewan. We don't have like poison venomous snakes or like spiders or anything like that. The worst is like mosquitoes and like ticks and stuff. So, but then again, Saskatchewan really doesn't have anything else except for really cold winters.
That is true. And you go inside and then you bundle up and you survive it.
Hmm I mean, you mean suffocate and
We'll agree to disagree on what is the benefits of winter.
maybe that's a topic for a future episode. Wink, wink.
Maybe for when it's winter.
Perfect. All right. I know it's somewhat of a short episode, but I have a perfectly good reason for that, and let's move on to the next segment as what we're looking forward to this week. And
Sure, but before we move, Shang, I just want like just very short. What would you say is one of like what's a very short, funny summer story that you have for us?
I guess the funniest thing that's happened to me when I'm camping, I guess, which is really good topic is, so a couple years ago we went to Cypress Hills National Park in Saskatchewan. It's by the Alberta border. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a really cool. I guess it's an interprovincial park, but it's really cool. There's like these cool like hikes you can do, or you can go to the lake. And so me, my brother, one of my friends, and my parents, we went like canoeing / kayaking.
Okay.
And as we were kayaking, me and me, I had my own kayak, my brother had his own kayak, my friend had his own kayak, and then my parents were just canoeing by themselves. And all of a sudden, we look over and my parents' canoe had flipped over,
Oh
and
no.
so we were like, oh shoot, because it was first of all, my mom doesn't know how to swim. My dad does, but my mom doesn't. So
Okay.
it was scary, but at the same time, it was funny because my dad's trying to swim and pull my mom at the same time, and then the canoe just flipped over. So what ended up happening was my dad ended up pulling my mom to the side, and then me and my brother, we had to kayak and push the canoe at the same time. And kayaks, once they're flipped over, it's so hard to push, you know, into the
Yes.
side. But eventually, we did end up pushing it, and we finally got it to shore, and then we flipped it up, right side up. And then at the end, we were talking to them and we were asking what happened, how they flipped. And my mom she just told me they're trying to take photos of them canoeing.
I guess that's a reasonable way to get your canoe flipped over.
How about you, Andres? What's your funny story of from summer?
So a funny story is not actually during the trip, but how a trip came to be. So, before I moved to Canada, our summers back home, usually we'll go to this beach in the Pacific. It's called Ixtapas y Guatanejo, which is such a lovely beach. Literally, we've been going there since we were kids. So that was our usual go-to in terms of summer vacation. But then the summer before I came to do my undergrad and moved to Saskatchewan, I remember telling my dad, and we were planning our summers, and as per usual, we wanted to go to the same beach as we usually did. And then I remember telling my dad, "It's like, hey, can we go to Cancun?" Because it's surprisingly or shockingly, I had never been to Cancun until that summer that we started discussing it. And the reason I gave my dad for why we should go to Cancun instead of going to Ixtapa was everyone in Canada is gonna ask me, "Hey, what's Cancun like? Do you have any recommendations for it?" And I will have to be like, "Sorry, I actually have never been, so I don't know what to say." I'm just like, that will be very embarrassing as a Mexican not having go to Cancun. And that's how I convinced my parents that we should change locations. And that's how I've been to Cancun the only one time in my life was the summer before I moved to Canada. And just because I wanted to be able to talk about Cancun to whoever asked me if they should go to Cancun and what they should do and where they should stay and all the typical things about it. So that's this short funny story of a summer trip was asking to go to Cancun for the first time.
Yeah, I think you reminded me. That's probably one of the first things I want to do once COVID is over. Just go to Cancun or Hawaii and just lay on the beach and just not think about anything.
Honestly, I even though I love backpacking and visiting new cities and just walking kilometers a day, I think I'm ready for one of those resort vacations that I just lay by the pool or lay by the beach and do nothing other than drink and eat.
Yeah, because usually I don't like doing that, but I mean it's nice, but I'd rather be exploring and stuff. But I think you have persuaded me. I'm ready to just go to the beach and lay down and eat and drink.
Perfect. We'll show plan for that.
Yes, we will. So what are you looking forward to this week, Andreas?
So this week, what I'm looking forward, it's a short week because of the long weekend. So thanks, Queen Victoria, for that. Um, so what I am looking forward, is just really start getting into doing a little bit of packing every so often or every day, just a little bit, or just tossing things away or giving them away, and just so that it doesn't come to a point that I'm rushing my packing. I really want to be very mindful of how I'm doing it and what things I actually need to take and what things I actually get rid of. So that's kind of what I'm planning this week is starting to sort all of those things out and sorting out the logistics of moving east. But other than that, I'm all just looking forward back into getting into running. because I've been cleared by my physio to start running. So getting back into that habit, going to the river trails. And if the weather permits, maybe I'll take Sherlock to the dog park that has a beach and just spend a day of the weekend there. How about you, Risheng? What are you looking forward this week?
So the reason we're recording this episode a little bit early is tomorrow, Friday. I guess, when this episode comes out, it's Monday, but this weekend, essentially, I'll be out camping in the wilderness. I'm going with my family for 3 nights, and we're going to Narrow Hills Provincial Park, so a little bit to the north, central North Saskatchewan. I think it should be a fun time. It's apparently everyone's been telling my brother that it's one of the nicest provincial parks in Saskatchewan, so looking forward to that. I know the weather doesn't look too amazing. It might be cold nights, but honestly, I'm just excited to be out there again and just relax.
That sounds lovely, man. We'll be waiting to hear your review about your long weekend camping trip.
You better believe it. I will.
We can wait to hear about it. Honestly, especially just traveling within the province, sometimes I would say some people think Saskatchewan is boring, which at times it's true. But there's so many hidden gems as well in the province that if we can promote it so people can go out there and visit, why not do that?
Exactly. And Saskatchewan in the big picture, it is sort of boring. There's not much mountains or other things like beaches or anything, but like you said, there are lots of cool hidden places that you can visit. And I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions was that Saskatchewan's flat, but once you actually go out there and explore, it's actually not that flat. So exactly. So I think for there, that's I think that's a good place to end our episode for this week. Andres, do you want to give our Instagram a shout out and let people know how they can connect with us?
Sure. So as we always mention, feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram and Twitter. We're there at 2 Average Brown Bros. You can always reach out, shoot us at the DM. We're always there to answer any questions, doubts, comments, feedback. We welcome everything to ourselves. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us. As you know, we release an episode every Monday. Depending on depending the topic is how we're feeling or what's happening around the world. But if you do have a specific topic in mind that you want to hear the brown perspective on things, don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll definitely talk about it, because if there's something that we love doing is talking about things and talking about different topics, because we're brown people and we like talking. It is a thing. So
it is.
So feel free to reach out to us, and we're always here to listen to what you got to say, and we truly appreciate everyone listening to us.
Exactly. So we'll catch you on the next episode.
All right. See you next Monday. Bye.
See ya.